All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is the Life Reading Club series on mentorship, and it has been my greatest delight and honor to have led this short series, and I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot in the process of research, praying, and also consulting with a lot of friends and people that I look up to. I have learned so much. And so this is part six, the final installment in this series. And we're going to be talking about now finding a mentor. One of the things we've done is over the several weeks, we have looked at what exactly is mentorship, and from different lenses. We've talked about types and functions, formats, and even how to initiate a mentorship relationship. And we're going to finish that today, whereby we will create a mentorship map. I will give you a template that you can use that was created based on the discussions that we had over these last several weeks. And so it's the result of research, time together, talking, and seeing what mentorship means at this in this context. So I've made a mentorship map that I adapted from other people. I stand on the shoulder of giants, and then also would create a mentorship contract. That is, give you a draft that you can work with as you initiate these mentorship relationships to make them as formal as possible. It doesn't mean it has to be rigid and very, very difficult to follow, but at least there should be something on paper of what you want to achieve, and that should be very, very clear. In a mentorship relationship, one of the things we have found out is mentorship takes time, it takes energy, and so one should give it the seriousness that it deserves. Okay, so what are some types of mentors that you may need? We established early on that it's okay to have multiple mentors. So some mentors are what I call your professional development or feedback um, mentors, or let me not call it mentors, the needs, your own needs. And so these are some needs you would have at different points in time, professional development. And these are people who can teach you how to do different things. Usually they have authority, and they have professional training in that field, and so they can give you critical constructive feedback on your performance when you do accomplish or do whatever it is you sought mentorship for. And so I underline the word professional because when in the things of faith, for those who are not vocational ministers or professional ministers, pastors, does that mean that, what does that mean for them? And even for those who are pastors, who are vocational ministers, what kind of professional development do they need to improve, and who can give them this feedback? Notice in this figure here that there should be some form of assessment and some form of feedback. Oh, you did a great job, or you did not. Usually, somebody who is at the head of an organization, say a pastor, is so high above everybody that it's common to disregard professional development, particularly in skills that are not directly related to their ministry, but they are essential for their performance in that role. And so here is Apostle Paul, who says, I'm a Jew, I'm born in Tarsus, I studied under Gamaliel. So you might say, well, that didn't affect his ministry. Well, the fact that he studied and he thoroughly trained allowed him and empowered him to write so many epistles. And so that studying, that vocational training, is needed for his overall effectiveness. And so I want to say this is a suggestion. Let's say for those who are in some form of vocational ministry, maybe you're an apostle. An apostle is somebody who is commissioned and empowered to do several things for the kingdom of God. And so you can consider them as like CEOs, who get into a certain and effect positive change. So if you function in that role, then Go get mentor, go get feedback from a professional CEO, from somebody who's a CEO in a secular company, or go get a coach. There are professional coaches today that can coach one up in leadership. I have um, I have subscribed to a coach, and it was very, very, very um, um, informative, and was very transformative as well. So if you need a recommendation, send me a direct message. I will make some recommendations of a coach. And let's say you're a teacher, you teach Bible study. Go and learn from a professional teacher how to teach different types of content. Um, we assume that every professor knows how to teach. That is very, very false. There is actually a science and also an art behind teaching, and some people study this. Say you're an evangelist, and you know that's where you function in the church. Go listen to a public speaker, um, and get training on how to be more effective with your communication, and so on and so forth. Next is a need you might have is sponsorship and opportunities. And many of us who are maybe younger really need this. Actually, everyone needs this. So a sponsor is somebody who can attest to the quality of your work or your character, and they can connect you to opportunities. They can give you uh, even of their own resources, and it could be money, it could be a key, a door to a place that you desire to get to in your personal development and your formation. And I want to point out that even though we might think of sponsorship primarily as money, there's a lot more to that. Some people can give you access like that is way much more valuable than money. Some people can write you a letter of recommendation because they know your work, they know your integrity, and that letter of recommendation is worth, I am not exaggerating, tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Somebody wrote me a letter once, and that letter gave me a job that changed the trajectory of my life. And so, if you have been in a mentorship relationship, that person is still my mentor till today. Um, but they may not give you money, but what they give you is more than gold. And again, here, this is Barnabas, in Acts 11. Barnabas went to Tarsus to look for Saul, okay? And he brought him back to Antioch. And for a whole year, they met with the church and taught great numbers of people. And the disciples were first called Christians at Antioch. That's because Barnabas sponsored Paul at that point in time. Paul had only recently become converted, and so he needed somebody who will walk with him in this stage and sponsor him. And so that's a sponsor. Well, the last two examples seem to be one-on-one type relationships. It's also beneficial to be mentored in a community, and a community you can easily join is, say, an intellectual community, and you might even like a distant pastor that a couple of you listened to together. Okay, so it's very common today that, oh, I listen to this minister on his podcast, or on his website, or on his YouTube, but you do it alone, and so you lack the accountability from that person that you need as you begin to your behavior and your actions need to change. So in such a case, get a group, an intellectual group, and do that together and discuss that together. And this community, it could be people who study a particular subject. And I put this there because somebody who has written a book, who has taught a series on that subject, somebody who has practical experience, I want to say, are more qualified to follow. We all tend to want to stay in our local assembly, which is great. But what if there's somebody who has a gift in an area that your leader in the local assembly doesn't have? Then that becomes a reason to join a community of people to hone or to improve yourself, because not everybody knows everything. So I'll put here, if possible, outside your denomination, so that the basis is not your, um, the sentiments you have about your denomination. The basis is about the skill that you want to learn. And so other things, so for example, the Life Reading Club, focuses on leadership, relationship, and purpose. So if you want to, this is an advertisement for the Life Reading Club. If you're interested in leadership, particularly leadership in the context of kingdom leadership, then subscribe to the Reading Club. We've read in the last 2 years over 14 books on leadership or and relationship. Okay, and so other things, you could subscribe to a podcast like the Love Oyedepo Oga podcast that focuses on relationships and marriage and things like that. Do it with a group of people and follow that podcast. Let's not all walk solo, okay? Particularly if you're thinking about a community. Here's Acts 17. The Berean Jews were of more noble character. They received the message with great eagerness. Yes, great. But they examined the scriptures to see if what Paul said was true. It is in that examining you begin to understand the meat of whatever it is you are trying to improve yourself in. Okay, but if it's just in your head, it just becomes knowledge. Nobody keeps you accountable to follow up on those things. Now you need emotional support and a safe space. So you need people who can talk to you without judging you. This is so key because many times we fall, we sin, and we go back to some things that we thought we shouldn't do or anymore, or we make some mistakes. There should be people that you can go to, that you can talk to, and will listen to you without judging you, and they would even help you through that hard time. It could be a friend, it could be a prayer partner, it could be whatever it is, somebody who's a little bit mature. That when the reason there is safe space is when you talk to them, they don't go and talk to five other people. Okay? They can, there are people that can, you can cry with them, you can laugh with them, and you can grow with them. Okay? And this is in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 41. And the friends kissed each other and cried with each other, but David cried hardest. And Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, because the two of us made a solemn pledge in the Lord's name when we said, 'The Lord is witness between us,'" meaning that they have kind of covenanted between themselves that they will look out for each other. This was what Jonathan was doing here, because Jonathan's father was trying to kill David. And so Jonathan kind of gave David a sign that enabled David to escape. And so that right there is somebody who is a safe space. He whatever he could have, Jonathan could have told King Saul where David was, but no, Jonathan did not. That's a safe space. Um, and finally, here you have somebody who gives you accountability, but not just accountability, who gives you a safe space as well, but not just a safe space, also prays for you. So this is a discipler. They know you. They will help you prioritize your task in your development because they know you intimately. They give you feedback. They pray for you, and they are present with you whenever you're with them. They're not, you're not just I'll get to see you when I can get to see you. They make room for you in order to intentionally um, uh, invest in your development. They're mature, they hold you accountable. They don't just say, you don't tell them something and you go away without coming back to give them feedback, because they hold you accountable and in high regard. They don't judge you, they don't condemn you. So that's a discipler. And this is Ephesians, Apostle Paul saying, "For this reason, ever since I heard about your faith in the Lord and your love for the saints," he says, "I have not stopped giving thanks for you and remembering you in my prayers." So they are intentional, they are praying for you, they are getting feedback about you. Even if they're not physically present, they are hearing, they are concerned about what's happening to you when you are trying to live out your dreams or your faith or whatever it is. And so somebody said this, Sister Christabel, she said this, she said, "As a mentor, you are also a leader, and a leader must be resilient. That is, you don't give up too easily on your mentee, especially those who fails to yield to their mentors." So this is really what a discipler does. He loves you anyways. Peter failed Jesus many times. He denied Jesus, but Jesus still prayed for him before, he prayed for him after. That is a discipler. So overall, these are the different roles. So I want you to think about who is your Gamaliel, somebody that you can go to for professional development or one sector. Name that person, okay? Who is your Berean community? Somebody that you read with or community you read with. They might be distant, but they are role models, like the Life Reading Club, for example. Uh, it could be online, it could be in person, but a group of people, not just yourself, but where you have a group of like-minded people. And then you have here, who's your friend, your Jonathan, and who's your Barnabas, who's your sponsor, who gives you access, who gives you support. And finally, who might be your Paul, your discipler. Now, all these people, you have to open your eyes, not just your physical eyes, but the eyes of your spirit to search them out as you need them. You don't have to have all five at the same time, but as you need them in each season of your life, pay good attention to be able to work on an area at least of your life at a point in time and engage the appropriate mentor for that season. Okay, for that season. Um, if it is not bounded, if you don't have like boundaries and time, and it will just eventually become just a casual relationship. You cannot, one should not do that. And finally, there's your mouth is involved. You have to speak to these people, and not just speak once and that's it. Communicate. Begin to be in constant communication with them. So that's our task for this week, uh, and I would love to hear how this goes for you. A couple of things. So I said that don't make it casual. If you scan that QR code, it takes you to a sheet that was made, that I made for this purpose, that you can at least use to start that specific mentorship relationship that both of you can use. Okay. So that's a resource I welcome you to use. You might say, well, it doesn't need to be that formal. I respect it if you say it doesn't need to be that formal, if you are that disciplined and that other person is that disciplined and committed. But if you're busy like I am, and I believe you are, then having something on paper is very beneficial. Habakkuk chapter 2 says, write the vision, make it plain so that whoever sees it will run with it. I need to see it so that I can work with it. And I welcome you to please join us on the Reading Club. That's the QR code. You can scan it. Um, and it has been a great honor to be on this journey with you. And I sincerely wish everybody all the best. Here are the resources that I used, that were used in this um, in this series. First, I want to say number one resource actually is you. As we had these discussions, those discussions yielded insight. You were a Berean community. You asked very deep questions, and I want to say thank you to the Life Reading Club, and I at this point as well recognize and salute Bro Joshua Ogberekimo, who is the founder of the club, and his other leaders. Time will fail me to mention everyone by name, but thank you so much. That was a great resource. Your conversation, and, um, and of course the Bible. And I read these books, were some of the books that were read. The book by Wisdom, Lamulaka Wisdom. That's the How to Mentor Anyone in Academia. That was very helpful. And of course, the book we all read together, which is John Maxwell's Mentoring 101. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to, who's serious about mentoring the people under him. And finally, a book that also has been very instructive is a book called Teamwork Cross-Culturally. Because this community is actually cross-cultural communities. We're in different countries in the world. We're in different stages of life, actually different continents. And so it's a cross-cultural place, and it has also helped me learn about, different people. So that book was very, very helpful for me, and I'll continue to read those books. Well, thank you again all so much, and God bless you till we meet again on the next series. This has been the Life Reading Club.